in Singapore recently to interview the Kaspersky boss regarding the rebranding policy of the company. Here's my interview with Stephan Neumeier. Let's talk about the rebranding from the top. Why did Kaspersky decide to rebrand itself, drop the lab, create your own font, remove all the red dots, all that kind of stuff?
Red dots? I think we never had a red dot.
Red triangles then?
Yeah. Okay. So as I said before, we are now 22 years in the industry. One of the most respected, visible cybersecurity brands globally. But the cybersecurity industry is changing quite significantly specifically over the last few years. What we can see is a lot of new vendors approaching the market with completely new technologies, new approaches, and existing, veteran vendors, larger ones even, facing significant challenges, and some of them even have to exit the market. We have evolved over the last few years as well. We are approaching also with new technologies, with completely new capabilities, much more the B2B sector. Besides to maintaining our focus on the consumer business, we are approaching much more the B2B sector, enterprise sector, new markets like industrial sectors. And with that, we believe it's time for a change as well, to have a more simpler message to our customers and partners, which is more recognizable in the market. The lab was kind of recognized as an antivirus brand, which is still core of our portfolio, but obviously we evolved above or beyond the antivirus technologies, and with that we decided to refresh our brand, new logo, to show to our customers and partners that we are moving and evolving with the industry. One
of the biggest challenges as a corporate is trying to discuss your capabilities with the consumers, that you're more than antivirus. Of course, branding is crucial, but are there any other elements that you guys are doing or embarking, trying to show to the consumer, to the market, that you guys are more than AV, than antivirus?
Consumer and corporate customers.
Yeah, and the consumer in particular. But corporates, there's a lot of heavy touch. It's the consumers that...
Consumers, obviously, as I mentioned before, so when you look into the next few years, and that's also becoming very, very critical for many consumers, lots of new devices will enter the market. All these devices which will be connected to the internet as well. I'm talking IoT devices, home devices which will be connected to the internet. But today there are not many solutions or approaches on how to protect those devices. Protect the data customers are storing somewhere. So with that, with all these new devices, new data which will be captured as well, there will be much more requirements for consumers to take care of their individual security. So with that, it's not just protecting your individual PC with an antivirus technology. It's a much more comprehensive approach consumers need to take care of, and we as Kaspersky already have taken care of that. We have a portfolio which is going that direction, and with that also the new brand. So Kaspersky Lab, which was considered a pure antivirus technology company in the past, that's not the case anymore when you look into our current capabilities and current portfolio.
There's also the idea of targeting the consumers. One-off payments for revenue might be something that the consumers are familiar with, but as a sustainable business, are you thinking about subscription basis moving forward for that kind of comprehensive coverage for consumers?
Yeah, we have that already. We have subscription offerings for our consumers as well. Because consumers do not want to go into a multi-year. Some of them do not want to go into multi-year agreements anymore. They want to go into monthly subscription and want to decide whatever best technologies, products they need for their individual needs. So we can already offer that.
Moving along towards the corporate sectors, of course, there's various sizes, and we'll get into the government a bit later. But let's talk about the SMEs. In Malaysia, there's a lot of reinvigorating process going on. SMEs are extremely excited to move into 2020. 90% of the businesses in Malaysia are SMEs, but I'm not too sure many of them are aware about the need for getting protected online or getting cyber secure, cyber immune, as you would say yourself. Where is the recognition level right now among SMEs for cybersecurity protection?
Recognition of what I would say, first of all, let's talk about awareness. I mean, we clearly can see in SMEs an increasing awareness when it comes to cybersecurity, investing in the right cybersecurity technologies. The problem what many SMEs are facing is from a resource point of view, especially the smaller companies, they do not have the resources to actually take care of that. So what they are looking for vendors like us is having solutions which are basically simple to be installed, simple to be monitored out of the cloud, to ensure that they are protected, their data are protected, but they are not necessary resources within the company required to manage those technologies from a day-to-day point of view. So this is what we can offer to SMEs. From a cybersecurity need point of view, I mean, we clearly can see that many more SMEs are getting breached. It's a huge risk for small medium companies as well if they are getting their intellectual property stolen, for example, in a small medium business. That could finish their business. So they understood that they need to take care of specific cybersecurity protections, but again, from a resource point of view, it needs to be easy for them to be handled, to be managed, and they're looking for vendors who can help them with that, with offerings out of the cloud, easy to monitor, easy to manage, easy to deploy, with as less as possible investment from a resource point of view for the SME.
Let's move along the chain now. You were talking about waking up, at least for the enterprise customers just now. What do you mean by that?
Waking up, sorry?
They're waking up knowing that they need to be more aware.
What we see specifically on the enterprise side is that cybersecurity investments are getting more diverse. So when you saw in the past that large enterprises, the majority of their cybersecurity investments went purely into endpoint protection, that's not the case today anymore. So the investments are getting more and more diverse, looking into prediction, looking into active responding, whatever sophisticated threats which may get detected. You need to be in a position today to actively respond to these threats, and more importantly, you need to have the capabilities to predict whatever threats are out there within a specific area, within a specific industry, and those enterprises investing more and more of their cybersecurity budgets into this type of capabilities, really trying to predict what kind of threats they need to be aware of, and then make the right decisions within their infrastructure to be protected against those threats.
But because of that, there seems to be an acknowledgement they've got to seriously invest into this. It's not a by the way kind of thing. Do you think that enterprises are
cybersecurity investments
budgeting aside for that kind of thing?
Cybersecurity investments in larger enterprise is growing. And it's growing because enterprises understood. When you look into the financial industry, for example, which I think is one of the top spenders when it comes to cybersecurity investments, it's constantly growing, but it's getting more diverse. Yeah. So in the past, 80% of the investments were done in the endpoint protection, when you follow the Gartner approach, detection, yes, which is antivirus technology, etc. And now it's more 70% into other areas like prediction, responding, prevention, instead of just the detection. Yeah, so it's more diverse now, and it's growing. Yeah, because those capabilities, specific prediction, it's quite heavy investment. Companies have to do all this non-endpoint. The non-endpoint investment. So we see that enterprise accounts, enterprise customers are increasing the budgets for cybersecurity and making sure it's getting more diverse.
Of course, let's move into the government sector right now. I mean, I agree. Some infrastructure is too big to fail, anywhere from power grids to national identity for passport, I guess databases, whatever, right? Yeah. How? First of all, before we jump to that, where is the awareness level and the protection level of governments, at least in Southeast Asia, at large, and of course Malaysia in particular?
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, we can. The good thing is we see a very fast increasing awareness within all the governments in Southeast Asia when it comes to cybersecurity, protecting critical infrastructures, etc. But obviously, then when you look into Southeast Asia, there are few countries a little bit ahead of the curve. When you look in Singapore, I mean, they have a plan for the next already executed on the first wave and already ahead in the planning and execution of the next 5 years. Other countries have to catch up, but we see that currently cybersecurity, protecting critical infrastructures is in all of their agendas. So obviously some countries need to catch up a little bit, budgets need to be allocated, etc. But it's on everyone's agenda currently.
Okay, but Malaysia, how are we standing right now?
I mean, we are working very close with the CSM, as you know. Obviously, there is a very long history of investing into cybersecurity capabilities within the government, within critical infrastructures. But if I compare Malaysia, let's say from an awareness point of view and execution, awareness most likely is there, but execution I would say is a little bit behind Singapore. But we clearly see also with the new government, it's moving very, very fast the right direction.
And because of that, let's talk about investment by the government institutions. Do you think that the government is ready to invest in cybersecurity moving into 2020?
Yeah. In Malaysia, we can see it.
Okay.
With that, you may have seen. I mean, we announced a couple of months ago our new transparency center, going to be hopefully open by end of this year. In Malaysia,
this is 2 more weeks.
Yeah. So we choose Malaysia because of the support we got from the government, because of the readiness to invest in things like that, to make it visible also to the commercial sector that the Malaysian government is really looking into this area. So Malaysia was for us the chosen location because of the readiness that the government showed.
All right, let's zoom out from all the business segment and take a look into the market itself. Leading into 2020, what would be some of the key trends that you can take note of?
So 2020, 2021, I would say. So we usually have a two-year window. So as I said, from a consumer point of view, we see more and more focus on mobile IoT. This is where consumers will be basically exiting or entering the internet, doing transactions, etc. It's going to be more and more mobile, and obviously when you look into your own household, you will have more and more devices which will be connected to the internet, and they will be interconnected and interacting between each other. So we need to ensure that those IoT devices will be secured as well. From a B2B point of view, as I said, the small medium business, huge growth of cybersecurity awareness in this market. However, we need to help those small medium customers to make sure that the technology is going to be affordable for them from a resource point of view, so easy to deploy, easy to be managed and monitored. So that's going to be mostly managed out of the cloud. Enterprises, I mean, all of the enterprises have a huge focus on cybersecurity, obviously, but when you look into individual sectors, government, financial institutions, retail, everyone who stores significant consumer or customer data, huge focus on protecting those data. Some of them, from a legislation or law point of view, get heavily damaged if those customers are getting, or enterprises are getting breached and losing data. So they need to take care to protect those data. So huge investment and focus on making sure those data are protected. and we see that there is more and more focus on predicting, trying to predict what kind of threats, sophisticated threats are out there, and make then the right budget decisions and executions on being protected, on making sure their environments are protected. So that's on the enterprise side. And as I said, government, we see basically across Asia Pacific, cybersecurity is on top of the mind for all governments, and specifically really executing on agendas to protect critical infrastructures.
That window that you mentioned, 2020 to 2021, 5G is going to be a big feature for many of these countries. How do you interrelate what you have mentioned with the advent of 5G or the rise of 5G?
I mean, specifically, I would say in the IoT sector, 5G will play a significant role. And when you look again into the consumer market, 5G will change for many consumers the way they act or interact with the internet today. Lots of new offerings, surface offerings will be available because of 5G. It will accelerate the flow of data, the data which getting connected significantly to what we see today. And obviously with all this new data, all these new devices which will be connected and to the internet, the requirement of proper protection will increase even further. Yeah? So 5G will change the way we interact with each other today significantly, and it will increase the amount of cybersecurity significantly as well.